Well, I want to thank everybody for coming along with me on this ride through the I Am Discourses. Before we do our concluding, our closing session here with the last of the discourses, I did want to let you guys know about a resource I did come across last night. It's at the web address theiamdiscourses.com. The link is in the description below. As you can see here, though, it's I had a link to other YouTube videos that had the I am discourses, but they weren't broken down by discourse, and it was one of those computer voices reading it, which makes it really difficult to follow along. But at this web address, the iamdiscourses.com, it has all 33 discourses available to read along and read if you like. And so I just wanted to let you guys know about this because I didn't read all of them, and I didn't read the benedictions and the invocations. So if you would like to revisit the information, it is good to read along and listen to it at the same time. I didn't find this resource in the beginning, which I think is a good thing because I needed to personally read through it myself to really get a good grasp of everything that it's saying and going through. But one thing, I assumed it was channeled information, but when I came across this resource last night, I noticed it says here, the 33 discourses contained in this book were dictated over a visible light and sound ray in our home during 1932 by the Ascended Master Saint Germain and those other Ascended Masters directly concerned with this activity. The sound of his voice was physically audible to everyone in the room. At times, his visible, tangible presence also stood within the room when he radiated the power and energy of the light rays to accomplish special work. Now, I'm kind of glad I didn't read this in the beginning because I just assumed it was channel information like the Law of One. But this sounds like, some sort of futuristic hologram technology was used. Much like you would imagine Obi-Wan Kenobi appearing and hearing him, and I don't know that I would have bought it in the beginning. If I had come across this, I would have thought, what, that's ridiculous. But, the information, to me, it resonated with me. It was good information, and as you can see here, if you click on the discourses here, it pops it up, gives you a little player here.
The I Am Discourses by Ascended Master Saint Germain. Discourse number 1, October 3rd, 1932.
And it will play, it divides each one up, so it's good maybe to go through it once a day, a discourse a day, and it sounds decent. Sorry, it was actually coming through my mic and not through the actual audio. It sounds pretty decent. Not sure how the mic was picking it up, but just so you know, it is an excellent resource, the iamdiscourses.com. So with the last, we have Discourse 29. I did want to touch on a few things before going out because this one is the one that I felt was sort of, it kind of blew my mind because if you think about this came out 100 years ago, or almost 100 years ago. It was 1934, and they actually mentioned the golden age starting in about 100 years. And I know for a lot of people, that grow impatient as I do. I mean, I'm one of them. When I first started realizing the Mandela effect was real and realizing there were big changes, I was expecting something pretty soon, and the thought of waiting till 2034 just would have, a few months ago just sounded horrible to have to wait that long. But one thing I can say about this material so far, at least with my experience, is that it's made me come to realize that I don't really need to wait for anything. I can be at peace and harmony within my own reality. And if I've learned anything from the Mandela effect, reality can be changed and molded on an individual level. So I realize that the only thing I'm really waiting for is my own advancement and my own understanding. And I believe that things might appear like it's the same people and surroundings, and but that might not be the case. Like I said, with the Mandela effect, it appears that every individual sort of has their own reality, and we are way more in control of it than we've been taught through various religious texts and things like that. So, what I wanted to touch on a few topics of these last few discourses, and then we will conclude this I Am Discourse segment with Saint Germain and move on to some other exciting things. So, Discourse 29, August 19th, 1934. This one is actually from beloved Arcturus, which I have no previous information about this Arcturus character, but it's on a music festival that happened at Soldier Field, and I actually pulled up some images of, let me see if I can pull them up for you guys to see here. I found some images of this actual event that he talks about at Soldier Field. It was a music festival on August 18th, 1934, and you can see here that's I guess some Boy Scouts performing live on the field. It doesn't look like many people are there, but this was outside that event. I thought it was interesting that I was able to find these. There's quite a few people here, but it doesn't look like Soldier Field had even been open but a few years at this point when this event was held. So just to put a few pictures in your mind as I read this next segment, I pulled those up. Okay. It is Saint Germain's request that I voice to you the mighty accomplishment at the music festival last night. May I first refer to my own humble efforts in conjunction with those at the Royal Teton on New Year's Day 2 years ago. Now I want to point out 2 years ago would have been 1932. Okay, so 1932, it says, it was then decreed that the Century of Progress exposition should be a focus for a constructive activity which should ever expand and increase in intensity during the next 100 years. So we're looking at 2032 would be the close of this 100 years they're talking about, which is still in another 14 years, but let me continue. The opening and lighting of it was the initiatory step that is to usher in the beautiful, magnificent golden age, which is signalized in that activity. This has made Soldier Field sacred ground, a sacred altar of divine activity in the Western world, insofar as humanity at large is concerned, the hub of the whole of America. A volume could be voiced of all that took place and that which led up to last evening, but owing to the human sense of time, this must be greatly condensed and but an outline given. Before proceeding with this description, I wish to call your attention to the unparalleled number of pageants of all kinds, of many nationalities, that are being held in Soldier Field this summer. These cover the period from the Ascension of Jesus down to the present time. They give acknowledgement of the Ascension, which is the most vital thing and the culmination of all human experience. These pageants, from the human standpoint, are a calling forth of the latent memory in humanity at large and are a raising of the essence of that activity. How easy it is for humanity to pass over transcendent activities because of their unbelief, acknowledgement, or acceptance of the true perfection of life, for all life in manifestation is God in action. Unfortunately, however, it is more often colored by human concepts of limitation and destructive qualities, which, through the individual's power of free will, everyone is at liberty to do. This ere long, however, will be greatly remedied by the setting aside of the greater part of the human free will as it is known today. This will enable much of humanity to be awakened and saved from their own destruction. Now this came to mind as we see things are changing. They are with the Mandela effect, I feel like they're gentle changes. I feel like, if reality's changing, it could change in a way huger way than what it has been changing. But I can see how this might be referring to things like the Mandela effect happening as we get to the close of this 100 years they're talking about. So I really wanted to bring this out because I thought it sounded like it may be referring to what we all been talking about, ascension, and how that might be directly tied with the way reality is changing with the Mandela effect. The representation of signing the Declaration of Independence was to bring before the conscious attention of the earth, and especially America, its unparalleled activity upon the earth, and to call it to the attention of the people of America that they might hold close to and stand by the original Constitution of the United States, which was and is a divine creation until such time as the complete ascended master constitution of the United States of America shall come forth as the advance of the golden age proceeds. Here we have it talking about changes to come. So might be something, if it interests you, that you might want to look further into this. In Discourse 30, this was a Thanksgiving Day. There was one little thing out of Discourse 30 I did want to read. The greatest need today is in calling the outer attention of mankind to the one great source which can give the needed assistance, and that is the mighty I Am Presence and the host of ascended masters. The attention of individuals fixed upon this great source gives the opening needed for the outpouring of the great eternal cosmic light to flood forth into the outer world, reaching not only the consciousness of individuals, but into conditions that greatly need readjusting. And that's really reiterating things we've covered before, but for people that might be first time viewers to this I Am information, you might want to go back and check out the beginning or check out the resource. In Discourse 31, which was another Christmas Day discourse, I did have a few sections I wanted to read out of this one and cover. It is with great joy that we are observant of the tremendous accomplishment individually, nationally, and cosmically speaking. For when we have the use of and can cooperate with those great and mighty cosmic currents of energy directed by that great wise intelligence, then we know that every step moved forward brings us nearer and nearer to that mighty glory and freedom which many are learning to feel and rejoice in. How different all activities are when working in conjunction with that great cosmic wisdom which is no longer compelled to withhold its mighty energy because of the free will of the individual. For now the cosmic activities of the nations are of first consideration, then comes the individual. Heretofore, because of the individual, certain cosmic activities had to wait. Now the great cosmic will has turned, bringing all national, emotional, and mental activities into that great preparation where every cog of the will must fit into the cosmic reality. The free will of the individual still binds and limits the outer sufficiently, so there will be many individuals and conditions in which it will be as though they were being run through great rollers in which all undesirable qualities are pressed out, and by the power of the consciously directed flame are consumed. The mighty radiance consciously directed by the great host of ascended masters from the great central sun is not only having tremendous effect on the minds and feelings of mankind on the surface of the earth, but far within the crust of the earth itself. Hence it has been possible to avert many disasters. Since 300 years after Jesus' ministry, mankind steadily and surely drifted back into dealing with effects instead of causes, and that is why no permanent assistance has been possible to be given. Now, with the assistance that the turn of the cosmic will permits, it is possible to bring the consciousness of mankind back into dealing with the cause and the effect, if out of order, must disappear. This is why the knowing of the mighty I Am presence, is its powers and whereabouts, is bringing the students to deal only with that one and mighty presence whose cause is full protection, as hundreds of these students are proving for themselves. When their attention is fixed upon the mighty I Am presence, they are dealing with the one and mightiest cause, whose one and only expression is perfection. And that really reiterates some of the other things that we've covered before, but I thought I would read them again. Kind of give you an idea of what the discourse is about. Here, therefore, the strength which is required to give the eternal proof to the individual is sustained. Thus, through the individual's own self-conscious effort, comes the greater and greater recognition of the possibilities within his conscious grasp. Mark you, I say, conscious grasp, for it is only through first conscious acknowledgement, second acceptance, and third application, or in other words, consciously directing this mighty intelligence and pure energy, that the outer or human is kept dissolved enough for the outer to truly grasp these mighty activities. Oh, the pity mankind has believed so long, and many individuals very sincerely, that they could cure hate, condemnation, and criticism with those same qualities. How futile and tragic has been this false concept. Believe me, O children of the light, hate never cured hate and never will. Condemnation and criticism never cured their kind, for as we have so often said to you, that which your attention and vision is held upon, you are qualifying and compelling to come into your world, abide, and act there. Another great point I wanted to bring out, that this was just a confirmation for what I felt I'd been shown before. As you see, people make big stands towards different things, and as a result, it only gives energy into it. I've covered this before in past videos. I won't really go into it here. With all we have said and given forth, so little has been grasped of how much the personality is constantly qualifying the very atmosphere and conditions about it with the things it does not want, through the belief that it can continue to have any kind of feeling and speak words of discord, hate, and limitation, and still be unaffected by it. The stubborn, false concept of mankind has filled the world with all kinds of tragedy. As more and more of the students of the mighty I Am presence realize that their thought and feeling are the only causes in their world, and that it is entirely within their province, within their ability and dominion, to govern their thought and feeling, then they will know that to govern these harmoniously, sustaining this activity, will fill their worlds with eternal perfection. Great information. We move on. Therefore, O beloved students of light, to every discordant, limiting appearance, say, get thee hence, thou powerless human creation. I know thee not. My world is filled only with the mighty perfection of my mighty I Am presence. And let me stop there and back up for a second. I highlighted this because this is a quote basically from the Bible in the new Mandela affected way. Get thee hence. Instead of it being thou powerless human creation, it was Satan. Get thee hence, Satan. I know thee not. So I found this pretty telling in the way that not only was it Mandela affected in the new way, because it used to say, get thee behind me, Satan, but now it says, get thee hence. And I thought it was funny because it sounds like, the way we talk today, we don't use the word hence. So it sounds like you're saying, get the hence, get the hence of what we're trying to say here. So get thee hence, thy powerless human creation, as if it's our outer is the negative, or the Satan of our world is our humanity, basically, not so much a pitchforked devil running around. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I take away from you foolish appearance, all power to harm or disturb, I walk henceforth in the light of the mighty I Am presence, in which there is no shadow, and I am free, forever free. Do not fail to change your mind, body, home. Do not fail to charge your mind, body, home, world, and activity with the mighty love, perfection, and intelligent activity of your mighty I Am presence. This was covered before, but I thought it was worth covering again. Send forth through conscious projection like the belching forth of a great cannon, the mighty violet consuming flame, consuming everything undesirable and imperfect in your world of activity. Consciously qualify this with the full power of divine love and action. Then see and feel what great beauty, happiness, and perfection you will experience as you move forward. I urge the students with all earnestness of my being to constantly charge everything within the activity of their thought and feeling with love, opulence, and perfect achievement. Do this qualifying with dynamic energy. Put great feeling and sureness back of it, and you will find such changes taking place in your world of activity and environment as almost to compare with the rubbing of Aladdin's lamp. I say to you, beloved students, with all the love of my heart, use this mighty application to your freedom. This is labeled as very important. Train yourselves to still the outer, if only for 5 minutes, 3 times a day. At the end of that stillness, with all the calm earnestness of your being, call the mighty I Am presence into action, and you will have all the proof in the world you wish of the presence, power, and dominion of your own mighty God self. And I did want to say this is powerful. I've already felt a huge difference in my life just realizing my biggest fear was patience and that I would be forced to wait, and now it's not an issue anymore for me. As we move into Discourse 32, it is truly most encouraging, most assuring of the ultimate goal of victory in the freedom of mankind from the chains and limitations of their own creation. After all, the pity is mankind does not understand that the human activity alone is the only creator of limitation and inharmony there is. In other words, through the ungoverned activity of the outer, personalities allow themselves to constantly requalify the perfect energy, the pure essence of their own mighty I Am presence, producing all that is undesirable when it is within their ability to keep themselves so harmonized that the perfect intelligence and energy flowing through the human form could not and would not be requalified. Therefore, it would constantly do its perfect work, not only in perfecting the human form, causing it to express divine perfection, but it would allow that purity and perfection to flow out into the individual's world, producing the beauty, harmony, and success each heart so much craves. I thought this was, it brought up a scripture here. Be still and know that I am God can be made a dynamic power in one's life. This being still means the harmonizing and quieting of the outer mind. Great information as we move down to here. Do not let any one of the beloved students make such a mistake as to think that the mighty I Am presence is going to act independently of the individual's own self-conscious effort. This never is and cannot be done. It is true that after the student has reached a certain point of attainment, the law seems to begin to act almost automatically, but this is only because a charged momentum has been built and established about the individual. Let me make it clear to you now that never until you have made the ascension do you cease to make conscious application for your own freedom. Now, we had snow a few nights ago, and we were out my kids and I were out in the backyard in the middle of the night, and my son rolled around. He started making a snowman. He got this big snowball, like the base of a snowman, and the next day when we woke up, it had already melted, but the snowball was still there. And when I read this, I was reminded of the snowball effect. so to speak. How we can, as you work through, you can build up, while the outer might wear down a lot of what you've built up. As you accumulate more and more, it becomes less susceptible to the outer tearing it all down. So it's kind of funny how that picture was placed in my mind, and everything's been like that lately. I mean, it's gone way beyond synchronicities to almost every single thing pointing out a truth to me, which is just wonderful. This work of Saint Germain and myself, this is Jesus speaking, is entirely different from anything that has been given forth to the Western world, because in this work there are no human concepts nor opinions. We can but call your attention to the truth, the reality as we know it to be. When you can fully accept this truth and apply it in your world and activity, you will have all the proof required in your own experience to enable you to know the full power of the truth of which I have spoken. To all who can accept this truth, it will enable me to charge their consciousness and fill their worlds and activities with this truth. They who doubt must wait, for doubt and fear are the two doors through which every human being must pass to know and have his full and complete freedom. The key that unlocks these doors is divine love and each one's acknowledgement of his own mighty I Am presence as the fullness of the power of divine love acting. I can and do reach all who will open their hearts to my reception. O children of earth, learn to couple your feeling of the truth with the acknowledgement of the truth that you wish to have manifest in your life. Then you will be enabled to go forth to any height of achievement in your quest for freedom. I am the open doorway which no man can shut. Your mighty I Am presence is the truth, the way, and the life. Wonderful information coming from Jesus there. And now in Discourse 33, it was sort of a step back. You can see the date here came from Independence Day of 1932, and it was another of Arcturus, his discourse. So once again, I want to turn you guys back to the I Am Discourses website, where you can go and you can check these all out and listen to them in their entirety all over again if you'd like. An excellent resource. I just come across it, so I definitely wanted to share that, and I'll go back and add this link in to the other videos as well. So I want to thank you all for coming along with me for this wonderful I Am ride, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.